Hey, welcome to Let the Light In. Today we've got the Sirui 16mm T1.2. The 16mm is actually on the camera right now. This is a 75. We'll take a look at this in another video. Today we're talking about the 16. This is just for you to look at. The 16mm is coming in at a price point of $530 US, and here are some of the features that are being advertised. First of all, it's got a wide open aperture of T1.2, which is why Sirui has named this the Nightwalker cinematic lens line. So it covers the Super 35 sensor coverage. Its minimum focus distance is 0.3 meters. The focus throw rotation on it is quite hefty, coming in at 270 degrees of rotation. Now there's a balance to that. On one side of the coin, it takes a long way to travel to your, whatever focus distance you are trying to achieve. On the other side of that coin though, is the fact that there is a great amount of focus throw available, which means you can really hone in and be precise on your distance markings. Now these lenses come in different lens mounts. They cover just about everything. They come in E mount, X, RF, MFT, and L mount. So it's available essentially on whatever camera body that you are using. Finally, up at the front here, it's got a 67mm filter thread, and that is consistent throughout the series. Now, all of the lenses in the set are the 16mm, which we've got here, the 24, 35, 55, and finally the other one we have today, the 75mm. They are all uniform in size. They are share the exact same dimensions, which means that your aperture ring, your iris ring, and your focus ring are going to be uniform across the series. They are all located in the exact same spot. So this is very handy if you are using follow focus gear, if you're using gimbals, swapping out lenses. It makes it very handy that all of them are uniform in size. You're not gonna have to tinker with things too much. Additionally, all of the lenses in the series are color matched. So that means, you get some shots on your 75, and then you wanna switch to the 16, to the 35, to the 55. It means that those colors are going to be consistent across the board. So when you bring that into post, you're not gonna have to color match, different lenses together and try and get as close of a result as you possibly can. These are already color matched for you, all right? So colors are going to be consistent across the series. Now the aperture ring, the focused ring, they both have a very nice and smooth rotation. I would put it perhaps in the middle. It's a little bit lighter resistance, not super light where you're just flying through it, but it's got a nice oily feel to it. It's not a heavy oily feel, it's a lighter oily feel. And so a nice smooth rotation for both the aperture and the focus ring. As we already discussed, the focus ring throw, the amount of rotation in it, 270 degrees, which is absolutely massive, right? If you're trying to hand crank that from closest to infinity, I don't know how many times you're gonna be in that situation, but it's a very massive focus throw. Another thing I do wanna tell you about the focus throw here on the 16mm is that at its minimum focus distance, 0.3, all the way to 2 meters, your focus ring rotation is 270 degrees. 250 degrees of that rotation is dedicated between the distance of 2 meters and the minimum focus distance of 0.3. From 2 meters to infinity, that takes about 20 degrees of rotation. So there's a lot of focus throw meant for under 2 meters on a 16mm lens. 16mm are more, I would say, landscape-y. So interesting there. It's not like a uniform scale as it goes around. You've got about 20 degrees, 30 if I'm being generous, for 2 meters to past infinity to work with. 20 degrees out of 270. The other 250 degrees is for 0.3. to 2 meters. So just a little heads up on that. Now, as far as the lens performance, taking a look at chromatic aberrations, you'll see we're wide open here, T1.2. We've got our subject, blown out background of the window in the back, and you'll see a slight blue outlining up at the top of that window frame. But other than that, it's really a clean performance here. You've got just a little bit of chromatic aberrations going on, but a very clean result. Additionally, as we focus through here, you'll see, and as is the case with wider angle lenses, the focus breathing present is really not that noticeable. It's quite minimal from lenses that I've seen. So focus breathing chromatic aberrations, they're present, but they are kept to a minimum. Bokeh looks really nice, especially at the center of the frame. As you start to move towards the corners, it kind of gets a little more cat's eye-y, starts to deform a little bit. Opening up the aperture to T1.2 makes this lens usable in a wide variety of lighting situations. So it closes down all the way to 16, so that's nice, but opening up to 1.2 means that you can use it in low lighting conditions. And I actually used these lenses to shoot the Northern Lights when it was present. What was that? Ooh, a month and a half, 2 months ago. I've been dragging my feet a little bit on this review. But I did use it to get the Northern Lights, and that was pretty cool. So Nightwalker indeed, T1.2. These are nice lenses. We've got it in gunmetal gray. I believe it also comes in an all black version. It's got a little bit of character with that blue ring on it. So the Sirui 16mm T1.2, $530. It's well made. There is no weather sealing on any of these lenses here throughout the series. So if you are living in a rainier area, then keep that in mind. But overall, 530, aperture ring, focus ring, all looks good. It's well made, perhaps a little bit on the heavy side. So check your gimbal's weight requirements if that is something that you need to be mindful of. $530 for this 16mm in particular. It put in a good visual performance, and I'm pleased looking at the visuals that it produced. It's a good looking lens. Now the question really is, do you want to put $530 into this series for the 16, and what did the other lenses performance look like? Well, I've got the 75 here. We're not going to cover it in this video. I'll release it in about a week, I think. So you can check out that review, and I'll have it linked up here. So it's completely your decision. $530. Is this lens going to meet your needs? It does produce nice footage, but what is the result across the board? We will have to see. If you're coming here from the 75mm, then that's what the 16mm looks like. Looks good. All right, that's all I have for you today. Take care, and remember to let the light in.